about sensors, remote sensors, and SCADA. Actually, what I think that's what she meant, SCADA, supervisory control. In those, we use a lot of telecommunication. We use transmitters. We use, uh, telemetry in those things. Uh, but it is very important to know what are the regulatory standards when you are using telemetry. There is an organization called Wireless Planning this thing WPC, Wireless Planning and Coordination. So they are the ones who allow uh, use of transmitters for relevant purposes, and depending upon what purpose, they will allow what frequency and what power it can be used. So it could be for telemetry, it could be used for RFID, it could be used for so many purposes. But if you are not aware that what is the regulatory standard, what frequency is allowed where, at what power, and you may sometimes exceed the whatever, like there is that ISM band in which you are allowed to operate. And if you are not aware, and you may transmit in the wrong frequency, and then you may get into all kind of problems. You may get into legal problems also. You may get into regulatory problems. So you must know, for every practice which you are doing, the country has some regulatory standards. So you have to follow them. Safety procedures. When we are talking about an industry, safety is the most important uh, part of the industry. How many accidents happen every now and then? And I have seen, whenever I have visited some big industry, I have found out that they put big, displays that there was no accident in this premises since the last some 290 days or 400 days, like that. So in order to achieve that, once again, the safety procedure is once again related to the industrial best practices. So if you follow the industrial best practices, you will ensure safety, and your not only your you will ensure personal safety, plus you will ensure that there is safety to the equipment as well as to your products, and also to the users of these products, which maybe you are assembling, manufacturing, or similar things. Liabilities. Some exposure has to be also given to the liabilities, that whatever wrong action they do. In India, we are not very familiar with the liability angle, as in the sense that if some machine, if a consumer buys a machine, and maybe the manufacturer or even the service technician, he assembles it wrongly, and because of that, let us say a washing machine not assembled properly, if there is a leakage in the pipe and the whole house gets flooded, so then whose liability it is? Who the damage which is caused by this kind of things? Who is responsible for this? In India, we are still not very much concerned in about this, and people, even the consumers, they let it go. But if we are going to think global, and if we are going to think of your technicians going abroad also to do servicing and these kind of things, they have to be made aware of what liabilities they can create while you are there executing their job. I'll just skip this pestle and SWOT for a second. Predictable. Now, this is the most important thing which is expected out of a person while he's working in the industry. Between two people, let us say there are two people. One person is very, very efficient. He is his speed of work is much higher than maybe the average. But if that person, he is unpredictable in the sense that he always plays truant. He bunks office. You never know what bluff he will come, and then he may disappear for 4 days, and then he may come again after 5 days and give all kind of stories that ye hua, wo hua. As against, there is another person who is not as fast as that, but he is slow and steady. We have heard the story of the hare and the tortoise, something similar to that. We want people who are predictable, so that goals can be met as per schedule. If you set a goal and then suddenly you find out that your goal has overshot by several days, then you may run into financial overruns, the whole product or maybe activity may become irrelevant. So it is very important to become predictable. When I employ somebody, I must know that yes, if he says something, he will do it. So the trustworthy or predictable. I think there is some standard also available for predictability, which something like CMMI or something like that. I am not very sure. Uh, uh, I'm just going to touch this to Pestel and SWOT. This is not relevant to the service technicians, but it is important to people who are doing product innovations. If you are developing a new product, so that time these two things are very important. SWOT analysis and the pestle analysis. I think SWOT analysis, many people are somewhat familiar with. SWOT means strength, weaknesses, and SWOT, SWOT it should have been. I'm sorry. Strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So when you make a product, I think Meena had some time back, she had displayed a product made by one of
Yes,
her
sir.
proteges. That was that dispenser of that sanitizer dispenser
Yes,
or
sir.
something
Yes,
like
sir.
that.
Yeah, he is there in the
Yeah,
meeting. Yeah,
yeah.
he is there. In the
He
meeting.
is there in the meeting, no?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So anybody who is innovating a new product has to go and do what is called as a SWOT analysis and pest analysis. So SWOT analysis stands for strength, weakness, opportunities, and threat. Once again, SWOT it should have been by mistake. So strength, weakness, and opportunity, threat. Everybody knows opportunity. For example, in this sanitizer which Rishikesh has developed, there is a great opportunity that this because of the corona pandemic, this is going to be in great demand. So we have a great opportunity for this product. Maybe at some other time, this product may not have been that relevant. So opportunity has given a great reason why to innovate this kind of product. And the threat would be, in that case, the threat would be tomorrow if this pandemic goes away, then what happens? Okay, then will people still buy this? So we have, whenever we design a product, we have to think about SWOT. I don't know whether Pestle anybody has heard of. Many people may not have heard of Pestle, but Pestle is very different from SWOT. Pestle stands P stands for political, E stands for economic, S stands for social, T
Sorry to
stands for
interrupt.
technology, E stands for environmental, and L stands for legal. Okay. So whenever you are developing a product, let us say once again Rishikesh is developing a product, you have to see what will be its impact on the pestle. P means political. Is there any political advantage because of which this product is going to be successful, or political risk? Like tomorrow, let's say this product you made, and this was because of a particular political policy of the government at that time. And then tomorrow, if the policy changes because the new political party comes into power, does this become irrelevant, or the product is irrespective of what political policy has been in place? So this will be one more important. E stands for economics. So you are going to do a study whether it is really going to be economical to do it. Economical as in the sense, does the world economy, I am not talking about the product economy in the sense of costing. I am talking about economy as in the world economic scenario. Does the tomorrow if the dollar rate changes, is it going to impact your product to such an extent that it will become impossible to sustain manufacturing? So this kind of questions will be answered by the E. Then S stands for social. What social impact does the product have? Okay, social impact can be anything. It could be related to uh, uh, it could be related to ethnic this thing. It could be related to religious feelings of people. It could be related to racial. Like for example, one very simple example I can give you is that fairness cream. fairness cream was to be, it was advertised as a product for making somebody fair, one who is dark. So this became such a big rage that that product some people had to discontinue, because that was like discriminating between black and white. So this is one example I'm giving you, that how the social scenario can make a product tomorrow irrelevant. That because of the social pressure, you have a very good product, but because of the society, you have to discard it. T is a technological. Technological, as in, suppose tomorrow technology becomes, technology can make the whole product irrelevant. I can give you an example. Once, a few years back, there used to be those video cassette libraries. I don't know whether anybody is aware of that. There used to be libraries where you could rent a video cassette and take it home and play a movie or things. And that was a very big business. There are so many people who used to run their business based on that model. But this network streaming business has made that whole thing irrelevant. So technology can sometimes make a whole business model irrelevant. So we have to see the impact of how a technology, are you using technology which is too sensitive and which is susceptible to rapid changes, because of which your existing product may become irrelevant. The next E stands for environment. Is the product or service which you are giving, is it going to be impacting the environment? If there are some environmental laws like pollution or maybe similar thing, if it is going to affect that, or if there is a new policy regarding that, does it become irrelevant? I can tell you there were some cases which I have personally experienced. There was in my area, I used to get very good cell phone signal of some particular companies. And then one fine day, I came to know, I found out that in my house, there is no signal at all from any of the service providers. And then I tried to find out what happened. Earlier it used to come, now it is not coming. So somebody said that one person in that area, he filed a case in the High Court saying that there is too much radiation from that particular tower, and because of that, there may be a health issue. So they said that that tower has to be removed. So just see that because of some environmental concerns, you may not be able to deliver service or maybe products at a particular place. And the last is legal. Legal in the sense that, are you going to be infringing somebody's patents? Are you going to copy somebody's design? Are you going to get a legal suit on that, saying that you have or you are breaking some law? Especially, let's say, if you're designing something in telecom, is there somebody who has patented it? Then he may file a lawsuit. You find such things happening abroad all the time. So that is the L is the legal. So I think people have to be made aware of this pestle business also. The last and most important thing is making people introduced to the history of science and technology. As in earlier slides, I have seen people talk about telecommunication, people talk about mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, but we have to make them walk down the memory lane. So I'll just give you, quote one small history of technology. One who is going to be an electrical engineer or technician should at least know who are the people because of whom you have reached this level. Anybody who is doing anything in electricity should know who is Michael Faraday. And why he should know Michael Faraday is, he should know that in what conditions did he discover electromagnetism. And no formal education, whatever work he did in his career, he could not put those things in form of a formula. He just demonstrated that when there is a current going in a coil, it generates magnetism, and then if you have a magnet near it, the magnet experiences a force, and the other way around, that if you have a coil and then if you move a magnet inside that, then there will be electricity generated in. But he just demonstrated this practically. He could not theoretically explain why this is happening. So this was done by this great gentleman called James Clerk Maxwell. He just remember that because of James Clerk Maxwell, he predicted the theory of electromagnetic waves. And today, because of what equations he has given, there are 4 equations which are supposed to be, one of the most important equations which change the way the world is today. Without his equations today, you could not have had the mobile phone in your hand, and just by pressing a button, or maybe even by speaking something into the microphone, today it is almost like a magic that you press a button and through Amazon the things get ordered and that item comes in your hand. It's almost like magic. But all this is because of Maxwell's equations. Similarly, there are other people, Heinrich Hertz, there is Jagdish Chandra Bose. He is supposed to be Jagdish Chandra Bose. Many people know that Jagdish Chandra Bose was the botanist who realized that plants are also living, and many people know about Jagdish Chandra Bose, about his contribution to botany. But how many people know that he is one of the unsung hero in radio communication? He developed an early wireless detection device and helped the knowledge in the millimeter waves. So all the cell phone towers which you see, which have microwave wave guides, they have all been first demonstrated by Jagdish Chandra Bose. Very few people know about Jagdish Chandra Bose. So there are some pictures that how Faraday did. How was the first wireless telephone? When you're talking about telemetry and SCADA, and you must know that how the whole communication started. Who was the first person who communicated data over a wirelessly over a particular distance? And it was done by Alexander Graham Bell. And this is how he did it. So if you don't teach people, this is the way these scientists who are they are your gods basically, because of them and how they worked, under what condition, what tools they had. And today what happens is, today I have seen any project, if I assign somebody and give them a deadline and tell them that you finish this deadline by this date, the answer comes, when the deadline comes, the answer comes that, no sir, that internet was very slow, I had internet issues, or my PC crashed, or my memory was low. So we get all kind of reasons, but we don't get a workaround. These people did not have memory, they did not have computer, they did not have even the basic tools with them. But they formulated all these equations, because of which you are able to get into great innovations. For example, computers. Everybody uses computers, but does everybody know that this was done by Charles Babbage, and this is how he did the computing? Everybody uses World Wide Web, but does anybody know that the inventor of the WWW was Tim Berners-Lee in 1989? So these are the things which I would like to emphasize, apart from the core syllabus, which Meena and her friends have very nicely designed. So that's what I wanted to say. Anybody has any questions or any remarks, I think you can make them. Thank you very much for listening.
This is excellent, sir. This is very good. And this will be outstanding for us to have recorded it. Make it repeat again and again to every batch actually.
Thank you very much. I have a longer presentation on this. There are many more slides. Maybe when the relevant batch comes, we can play it accordingly. Okay,
we can record your presentation and speech and put